according to the manual here, and I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. I'm going to go off on one specific part of this, and that is, it says there are 8 primary emotions here. And the top of the list, it causes your body, it's wiring that causes your body to react in certain ways, and for you to have urges when you have the emotions arise. So the first one, and we're going to talk about this one, is anger as a primary emotion. And I'm going to respectfully disagree with the manual on this one. I've been doing a lot of research on this, on anger being a primary emotion. And in fact, it is a secondary emotion. It's a secondary emotion to a primary feeling we get over something. If someone accuses us of something, say we didn't do, and your reaction at them might be anger if they're insistent, but your first thought is maybe you feel somewhat hurt, or you're afraid they won't believe you, or you might be surprised by something like that. When somebody comes out of nowhere at you over something that you weren't even aware of, and so you're surprised, like, what are you talking about? And then you're angry that they're accusing you of something that you have zero awareness of. So anger, from all the reading I've been doing, and I completely agree with because it makes a lot of sense. If anger were a primary emotion, my goodness, what exploring would we have to do about our thinking? Am I afraid here? Am I afraid this person doesn't love me or care about my feelings? We're not going to dig deeper, and we really need to get to the primary, what caused the anger, not necessarily what they said or did, but there's another thing behind it. Is it shame? Is it fear? Is it surprise? So what's the real thing? And once we can get to that, then we can get our anger under control better. And so there's a lot of instances, I'm sure, that we can use to figure that out. There's things that, it's a powerful emotion, and it can be used productively to get ourselves focused. Like you've heard or maybe you haven't heard the expression, get positively pissed. And that can get you to focus and do something to change things instead of just, feeling victimized about something. It can lengthen our lives, it can shorten our lives, and it's a lot like electricity. It can run things or it can electrocute you. It can kill you. So, it's a powerful survival tool at times when we're being threatened, when we're truly being threatened. It's a response to pain, either physical or psychological, and it is a source of energy for us. And it is a secondary emotion. It's not a primary emotion. And when we're angry, our brains downshift to a lower, more evolutionary level. So, so it helps us focus and react and narrow things so we know what to do in a situation. But if it's prolonged, it's extremely unhealthy. And if it's repressed, then it's dangerously unhealthy. So nature has helped us develop anger as an emotional state to help us stay alive, and it sends signals to different parts of our bodies to help us fight or flee. And we've talked about this so many times. So it energizes us to prepare for action. And when as our bodies were evolving, it kept animals from eating us. Well, not every time, but it certainly helped us keep us from trying. And now we feel threatened by so many things. We feel threatened by people's opinions. We feel threatened by certain things in our environment. We feel threatened by, maybe sometimes we're not as competent at something. We feel threatened by comparing ourselves to other people we think are somehow better than us. So that threatened feeling is the same, whether it's actual danger or not. So when we feel anger, we can say, how can I use this to serve myself? And that would be maybe to solve an issue. And so the primary feeling is what we feel immediately before we get angry. And that's what we have to get to. And we always feel something first before anger. You could feel, like I was saying before, you can feel afraid of something. You could feel really offended by something somebody said to you. For instance, I had somebody who met my older daughter, and everybody knows has BPD, and they didn't know me very well. And we were sitting there together, and my daughter was saying something that was kind of an opinion that maybe she might have kept to herself as she was thinking about her environment. And the lady looked at me and she goes, "Your daughter has real issues." And I was so offended by that. I thought it was very out of line for her to say it to me, and it felt hurtful. So I did feel angry at her for saying that. And I realized how offended I was, and I was hurt. And I said, "Please be careful how you speak to me. That's my daughter." And that's how I handled it. And even though I could feel body sensations of the frying pan in the chest and the anxiety of her opinionated, her offensiveness, I, still stuck to the facts and asked her not to talk to me that way about my daughter. So I was offended, so then I felt angry. When we feel disrespected, when a family member doesn't treat us with respect, when we feel forced to do something, and a lot of times that's just our thinking, but if somebody tries to make us feel forced or trapped or pressured to do things that we don't have time for, that we don't want to do, that can bring out anger. So all of those things happen first. So secondary feelings like anger do not identify the unmet emotional need. It's the primary feelings. So if I just say I feel angry, no one knows. I don't know. Well, you yelled at me, but of course I'm angry about that. What was it first that you felt before the anger? I feel disrespected by you. When I feel disrespected, I get angry. That's a lot more accurate, and that's what I need to feel respected by you, or I want to feel respected by you, would be the unmet emotional need. And that's what's causing the anger. So, let me give you an example here. Let's say someone wants us to do something and we don't want to do it. We prefer not to do it. And at first we feel a little pressured, but not enough to get angry. And if they keep pushing us to do it, you got to come get me at the airport, I don't have time for that. Then we start to get irritated. And if they continue, like, well, I went and got you at the airport when you came to, last time, or I picked up something, or I did something for you, and they get more and more pressure, then we get angry, and then the anger will damage our relationship. And so, a suggestion is, avoid getting angry would be to express your initial feeling, like, I feel pressured to do this. I feel pressured to acquiesce to your request. And that way, it doesn't escalate so much. And if that person you're talking to respects your feelings, which I know a lot of times we don't get that response, or if they don't invalidate or ignore you, then they may stop the pressure. And even if they don't, it's helpful to know what the specific feeling is. So if you know exactly what you're feeling with others, it really helps in a lot of ways. It raises our self-awareness in general if we practice this over time. And secondly, it helps us communicate more precisely. And thirdly, it helps us learn very quickly who respects our feelings and who we want to spend time with. And boy, that's a whole new class, girlfriends. So, when I was reading and studying this, I thought, oh my, I know very quickly who doesn't respect my feelings. And, and a way to help them a way to help us get more respect from these people is to practice knowing what our initial emotion is, what our primary emotion is that's causing us to get angry, so that we can keep the anger at a and a lot less, and we can communicate more clearly. So I hope this was really helpful. I think it's been very helpful to me in a lot of ways. And so for your homework this week, what we need to do is start really getting good at identifying our primary emotions, whether it's the list is here, sorrow, that lead to anger. This is specifically what I'm talking about. Identifying anger and actually challenging this manual and saying, no, it's not a primary emotion, it's a secondary emotion. And it is caused because I'm afraid, because I feel guilt or shame over something, because I'm surprised by something, because I feel pressured by something. So start learning to identify, and when you have it come up, write it down and be prepared to talk about it in class. I really want everyone to do this homework this week, okay? So I'm going to stop recording now.